Western Cape police are searching for a suspect linked to yet another mass shooting, this time in Fuleni. 3 men aged between 24 and 27 were gunned down last night after a lone armed man opened fire on them before fleeing the scene. One other person was wounded and taken to hospital. Meanwhile, police say the motive for the shooting is believed to be gang-related. Let's stay in the Western Cape, where government has announced the closure of several taxi routes and ranks following weeks of deadly violence. Mobility MEC Isaac Sileku says the cabinet resolved to invoke Section 91 of the National Land Transport Act, which allows extraordinary measures where unrest has placed lives at risk. For more on that, I'm joined by Makhosandile Tumana, who's the Cordeta spokesperson. Mr. Tumana, good to have you on the program despite the circumstances. Let us begin with the most urgent matter. What is your organization or your association's immediate response to the Western Cape government's move to basically suspend taxis for a period of 30 days? That's a long time.
Yes, thank you for having me. Regarding with your question, as Cordeta, we are deeply concerned about the decision of the MEC to close all our ranks in Somerset. Yes, we fully understand this is the situation, and we are not promoting that the dispute must be resolved by violence. So by doing that, as the MEC, we are busy engaging with him regarding with this decision, because we strongly believe that the route that we are busy operating there, we are operating there with peace and harmony. There is no violence in those routes that are affected now. Right. So we are very much concerned regarding with that, and we are trying all our best to do everything in our power to ensure that the route remains open.
I hear you saying there's no violence now, but the Western Cape government has cited or highlighted risk to public safety and escalating violence as some of the reasons for the route closures. From Cordeta's point of view, what are the underlying issues or root causes of the recent flare-ups, especially in what we're seeing in the violence between taxi associations? What's at the center of this?
You know, we are really confused currently, because if you can hear the situation now, the violence is in Nyanga, and the routes that are affected are from Khayelitsha to Somerset. But currently, the people who are operating there with peace and harmony. So we are so when the government of the province says there is a violence in between Kata and Cordeta. Currently, we are still wondering ourselves that where does this kind of killing come from? Because it is clear for us that it's not because of this dispute that was between Kata and Cordeta.
But interesting, because the Cape Amalgamated Taxi Association argues that Cordeta lacks permits for return trips from Somerset West to Khayelitsha, also creating an imbalance in route operations. Does Cordeta then view the current permit or licensing system as being fair? If not, how should it be reformed in your view?
My brother, the issue of Somerset and Strand is been long time overdue to be corrected. It's an era of 30 years, whereby the government of the province was supposed to take a full responsibility to ensure that the law in that route is obeyed by everyone. Because we strongly believe that people who are from Khayelitsha to Somerset, there is no one who has a right to return those people back to Khayelitsha. So that is why we always are accusing our government that he was supposed to play a part regarding with this, so that we know for the fact that if ever there is that if there is that kind of operation, we always having a problem regarding with that. That is why we agreed early 90s that the operators must take their people from A point to B point. Then now it is totally different what is happening in Somerset. That's where the dispute is. That is why we are saying Mr. Sileku must assist us to try to resolve this matter, because he knows very well what is needed in that route to be operated very good with peace and harmony.
I want to make sure that we get your position quite clearly. You've previously stated that CODETA does not condone violence. Let's speak about this. What internal governance or even oversight or disciplinary mechanisms have you put in place as an association to put, or rather to ensure that your members comply with the agreements and do not engage in violence during route disputes especially?
As Cordeta, we are ready to work hand in hand with our government of the province and also the opposition party like CODETA. You know, it is imperative to us to sit down and try to find a solution if ever there is any form of dispute. We don't support violence anymore, and we also want to apologize even to the government of the province for what occurred for the past 3 weeks, you know, and also even to our commuters. We want to say we are extremely sorry as Cordeta because of we don't promote violence in the industry.
Let's highlight what the government says. The Mobility Minister, Isaac Sileku, has described the decision to close these routes as exceptionally difficult for him. From Cordeta's perspective, what will be the impact on your members, especially smaller operators whose livelihoods depend on those affected routes that we are seeing there?
Yes, it is going to impact many people there, particularly our drivers. And our drivers are see themselves right in the center of this dispute. They are there to work for their families, to support their families. But it is very unfortunate if our government now decided to close the ranks where those people are going to work. And even our commuters, they are already key in using the taxis from home to work. So now the operations is going to be very difficult for them, even on their side as commuters.
I quite like the fact that you've mentioned passengers themselves, and because many passengers, oftentimes in taxi violence, they're the ones who are caught in the middle of this conflict. What message do you have for commuters who may have to rely on alternative, possibly more expensive transport, especially during the period of the route closures?
You know, what we have done as CODETA, we said to our members, let us try all means to remain calm and moving away from any form of violence to ensure that our commuters are safe and reliable in our taxis. So currently, for the past 3 weeks, it's been so quiet in our route from Fuleni to Somerset, from Makaza to Somerset. So we are still giving that assurance that there will be no violence in those routes that are already affected. And we are also appealing to our fellow brothers from CODETA to remain calm and try to find a way of this dispute between these two organizations.
Mr. Tumana, let's take the public into our confidence and get an update now. Since the announcement of these closures, has CODETA had direct communication or even negotiations with the Western Cape government? And what has been the outcome or progress thereof of that engagement, if it's happened?
After we received the statement from the MEC, we approached our legal department to find a way of trying to stop what is going to happen on the 17th. We still have hope that maybe the MEC will change his decision, because it's going to affect many people in this matter. So that is why we requested our legal team to approach our Prime Minister so that he can change this. Maybe we can find a way. And also he must try by all means to call us on board, both parties. You know, because every now when we speak, we're always accusing also the regulation management.
Mr. Tumana, are you still there?
Are you still on?
All right. I think we lost you there for a moment. You can complete your thought.
Yes, I was saying okay. We approached our legal team so that they can approach the Office of the Mobility to try to find an amicable solution regarding what is the MEC decided.
But because the government has indicated it may extend the route closures if violence does indeed continue, is there anything that Cordeta is willing to commit to immediately to help prevent any prolonged disruption or to restore normal route operations? What other guarantees are you giving here?
It is so difficult, my brother, to say Cordeta can do anything regarding with the violence, because the violence now is not exactly there where we were having the dispute. So that's why we're having a challenge to say, how are we going to work with government now? So these things are happening outside of the area where we were having a problem with. But now the challenge is that how are we going to find a solution if ever the violence is out of the premises that we were dealing with to try to resolve the matter. And now the government is taking the route to close up the rank where there is no conflict. Because currently there is nothing happening in those areas and people are working with peace and harmony. So that is why we are saying we can commit ourselves to maintain peace in Somerset and strength. But people are dying out of the area where there was this kind of incident. That's why we start on the road now. How are we going to resolve this matter with our officials as well?
While all of this is happening, there are other players who've tried to intervene. The ANC and its alliance partners have established a task team which is led by former MEC Leonard Ramatlakane to mediate in this impasse between CODETA and Cordeta. What is Cordeta's stance toward this mediation process? Have you engaged with the task team directly? And what are your expectations here?
Not yet, but it was one of our desire to have someone who's from outside who can intervene in this matter. So we were very much delighted when Mr. Bentingland was interested to take a part. But up to this far, we're not yet get their direction, how they're going to deal with this matter. But we are all asking someone who can come on board to try to intervene. We welcome that person even tomorrow if it's possible. Because at the end, we are not feeling good. You know, between CODETA and Cordeta, we are brothers and sisters. No one, if ever there is someone who gets killed at CODETA region, we also feeling pain because of is one of our brother, colleague, whatsoever. So we don't support what is going on now currently. But it is very unfortunately. We don't know how can we deal with this matter to try to stop this killing each other.
Mr. Tumana, let me thank you for your time. But before I let you go, and looking ahead, what do you believe are the long-term solutions? What would it require in order to avoid a recurrence of these route disputes, violence, or even service disruption? Is Cordeta really ready to commit to a long-term peace process or structural changes over licensing, oversight, route allocation as well, that will bring some stability to the sector?
If we can speak on our routes, maybe the issue of this dispute can be minimized. You know, if ever I work from Cordeta, I must work in Cordeta not to look at other places where I can navigate some more routes, you know. Let us concentrate on what is stipulated on our permits. Then this kind of violence can be no more. No one who can fight with anybody if we can work as it. With the resolution that we have made early in 1990s, because those are the resolutions that keep peace and harmony for a very long time. The reason why I was mentioning that this dispute it's an era of 30 years. It's because of the issue of Somerset. It's been on our talks since 1997. You know, up to this far, the province is gets so difficult to resolve the matter.
Let me thank you for your time, Mr. Makhosandile Tumana speaking to us and sharing his perspective on the Cape Organization for Democratic Taxi Association as they give their position on this ongoing conflict, but they maintain that as things stand right now, it is largely peaceful.